welcome to Movie Review Mom. I'm the mom and I do the movie reviews. And my goal is to give you the heads up on filmmaking quality and content so that you can make the best decision for you and your family as to whether or not you want to spend time or money or both watching a specific film. So thank you so much for subscribing. I hope you enjoy my channel and tell all your friends, come on over and join us. So today the movie I'm reviewing is called Morbius. This new addition to the Marvel Cinematic Universe is now playing in theaters. It's PG-13 and is an hour and 44 minutes long. I'm going to give you an overview in a nutshell, and I'll point out things I liked and didn't like, as well as offer tips for parents, themes worth talking about, interesting lines, and even recommendations for other films that are sort of similar that I think you might also enjoy if you like this one. All right, let's dive in. In a nutshell, snore. That's not a good way to start my review, is it? The problem with this movie is that it takes itself extremely seriously. It's about a biochemist named Michael Morbius who tries to cure himself of a rare blood disease, but instead he inadvertently infects himself with a form of vampirism. It hurts my heart to give a Marvel movie a bad grade because I'm normally a huge fan of the franchise, or the universe, I should say, but I just couldn't get into this movie at all. It's directed by Daniel Espinosa and written by Matt Sazama and Burke Sharpless. Marvel is magic normally, but Sony didn't capture it this time around. First, let me give you the list of things that I liked, and sadly, it's a short list. First, I really like Jared Leto, and I'm sincerely happy for him to be given this comic book character to bring to life. He's extremely talented and really works hard to introduce to us this interesting character. And I didn't know anything about this character before, so now I know who he is. And again, it's just a little bit of a snore for me. Matt Smith, Adria Arjona, Jared Harris, Tyrese Gibson, and Al Madrigal flesh out the cast, and they all do a fine job, but it's still not quite enough to save the script. The New York City scenes were actually filmed in Manchester, England. Isn't that weird? They had to change all the street signs and the license plates and could have saved a lot of time and probably money if they had just filmed it in the Big Apple itself. But they also did that in the movie Captain America, the First Avenger. So I'm sure it all comes down to dollars and which one makes the most sense. I don't know. Marvel fans will be able to spot a lot of fun Easter eggs, and I love that about the MCU. You can also watch Matt Smith's character, and when you do carefully, you'll spot some similarities to Jim Carrey's character in the movie The Mask. So I thought that was an interesting tie-in. There are some pretty cool special effects, some decent action sequences, but not enough still to save the movie from just boredom. So now that you know I was bored, let me give you the list of things that I didn't like that much about the movie. Mostly the plot just wanders around. I just didn't care about the characters that much. I mean, of course, I have a heart. I don't want people to suffer, but other than that, it just didn't grab me emotionally, I guess. The constant beating score is heavy-handed and exhausting and kind of speaks to that point that the movie really takes itself seriously. There is some action, but mostly a lot of smoldering anger and talking. There is a lot of CGI, but not much we haven't already seen a million times before. There's so much exposition, and that drags scenes down. It's informative for those of us who don't know the characters, but again, there's this lack of energy. The characters are pretty thin and underdeveloped. And then I kept thinking of Spider-Man and Venom. They both of those franchises within the MCU really capture the whimsical humor needed to balance out all of the serious drama with some of these characters. And Morbius completely forgets about that successful part of the formula. There is a little bit of humor, but not much at all. Again, it's just kind of dark and dreary. And the movie isn't that long, but it feels like it. I was bored within minutes, and I really wanted to like this new character. The fighting and action scenes are just sort of a jumbled mess. And so you can't really see what's happening. There's a lot of zero in on faces and lots of stuff like that. It kind of reminded me of the Transformers fight scenes where it's just a jumbled mess of mechanical stuff. Again, I wanted to see more of the drama and the face, and then pan out and see the cool action and then the facial reaction. I don't know. It just didn't do it for me. Let me give you some tips for parents. It feels more like a horror movie than a fun Marvel superhero movie. It's very dark for kids. In other words, there is blood, bullying, violence. Of course, I mean, you see that in a lot of the Marvel movies. You see a mouse die. There's science, so that's good. Your kids will think science is important and see the practical application. So I like that. There's a lot of destruction, of course, superhero movie. Innocent people die. There's some scary vampire faces. And actually, that CGI was really cool as the regular people morphed into these vampires and then back into humans again. I really liked that. I could watch that all day long. That was really cool. But for children, especially young children, I think that they'll be scared. And then just so much anger. So some of the themes that are illustrated well in the movie are special gifts and feeling and being normal, not being considered a freak or something like that. Vampires, of course, friendship, loyalty, helping other people, and sacrificing for others and the greater good. Now, I always write down funny lines and interesting lines, and I put them on my written review at moviereviewmom.com. So you can run over there and check all of those out. I'll share just a couple of them with you right now. For funny lines, like I said, there's not a ton of humor, but one line that I thought was really cute was spoken by young Morbius, played by Charlie Shotwell. And he says, talking to his best friend, he says, who also has some health issues, he says, I'm going to find a cure for us so we can be cranky old men someday. And I like that. And then I mentioned that there are some Venom references. And so Dr. Michael Morbius says, he's played by Jared Leto, and he says, I am Venom. Only joking. Dr. Michael Morbius at your service. Anyway, for whatever that's worth. And then there were some interesting lines. For example, Milo says, what would you do if you could be normal just for an hour? And when you're not feeling normal, that's a big concept to imagine, right? And so for the rest of us that maybe don't have the big severe physical ailments that these characters in this movie have, maybe it gives us a pause to reflect on how we are valuing our own lives, appreciating what we do have, and trying to take advantage of every day that we do have, because tomorrow's never promised for any of us. All right, so overall, my movie review mom grade for this is a D for disappointing. It just didn't get me. And like I said, I'm a huge MCU fan. All right, so before I go, let me give you some recommendations for a couple of other movies that I think that you would enjoy. The first one being, of course, Venom. Now, the very first, well, we've had several Venom iterations, haven't we? And some of them have been darker and more serious. But I feel like lately, the last one especially, because it's part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they understand the importance of humor and playfulness. And so the character has lightened up a little bit, which I think audiences really like. And then because of the darkness, of course, I instantly thought of the newest Batman movie, which is very, very dark. And I actually didn't recommend it for children, but maybe Batman The Dark Knight Rises could be somewhere in between, where there's some darkness, but there's the cool factor, lots of action, and some, at the time, some new things we hadn't seen before. All right, that's it for my movie review. Be sure and follow me on Instagram as Movie Review Mom, as well as myself, Trina Boice. I'm an author of 31 best-selling books, as well as some online courses and a daily podcast. And I share all kinds of stuff like that on that Instagram page. Run over to Facebook and join me on our Movie Review Mom Facebook group too. And be sure and comment down below. I love hearing your comments. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.